Abusia for Alpha OneTV, subscribe and share more down for some the Indian news share. Send a Indian news be an or should be a notification from so. Yen can some sort thing. In himself Cònfusiòn Kesi pan and see what EC headquarters pan the fact. Ablekuma North election on my for rerun A19 polling station as any asem go. Both parties NPP NDC and Manukona de Amokase. That 19 police station or 19 a year there NDC and Manukono that's almost supported. But NPP Manukuni say and we need that police station D or more issue. So according to a year Becca scientist or political scientist be about a year Orchard and about no cassette. NPP ni NDC to avoid any confusion and chaos in this election. Or more agree say or go for entire constituency polling station. NT 162 polling station also made for all for rerun to avoid any chaos. Now more for rerun there NDC man couldn't be winning. Inti give mind per man you can hide at Tom once because some quite 19 police station na MP man you can area. And there be you and your fed there was a courtings and sembem. Second chance to be bit my head. See, yes, yam pesses are in bidding me see. Some go with him and I said to Sabani, number say, no so free MP for Ablekuma Norfa. And yeah, the NDC for everything because they have videos of what I mean will say. Easy and all the time near them. Declare a rabbi as the winner. So being on weapon, we saw the court, we saw BC coming in with this information about needing come out at also.
One of is just for administrative process. It wouldn't take anything away, neither will it add anything. But in politics, you just do not let it go like that. Because if that were the case, the NPP will have ensured that SAR got a representative, and that would have created serious administrative problems in Parliament because they would have had the same number. Obviously, NDC would have won the elections anyway, of which they have won currently. So if politically you think that, apart from that, the point is that when you have a representative in Parliament in the name of the party, one, they pay dues. They pay a certain percentage of their salary into the coffers of the party. Every now and then, the party gets money. Apart from that, with a representative over there, it means that potentially you can win the 2028 parliamentary, elections over there because you will have a full representation, you have full administration that will be running the affairs of the constituency, and that comes with it some advantages, and that's the more reason why. It doesn't matter whether NDC has overwhelming number in Parliament. They still will need to add that because you can never tell tomorrow. Tomorrow, there could be a turnaround of the minds of Ghanaians based upon the way you run the economy. And so if that is the case, then you will have to go through the constitutional processes to ensure whether it is the NDC winning or the NPP winning.
Very interesting. But do you think that the decision that has been reached by the EC is the best way to go? That we rerun the 19 polling station?
In the midst of nothing, the little that you have is something that you can work with. I would have wished that the two parties can decide that rerun the entire polling stations of the constituency. So let us start afresh. But that one, you see, it has its own advantages and disadvantages, whichever party that you look at from. At this point in time, the NDC has the goodwill of the Ghanaian populace, so they can easily vote for the NDC. Two, the NPP can also have the advantage of playing the victim and then letting the people sympathize with them. After all, they say they are the mighty minority, right? So that can also play to the gallery. But you see, people are progressive. Looking at what is happening now on the ground, if they are to rerun the entire polling stations, NDC will win. will win flat down. They will win outrightly. The NPP will have no say. So you see, when the polling stations have been expanded to 19, the NPP stands at a disadvantage. And that's the more reason why they were insistent more on the 3 or 2 or so. You see, and with the 2 or 3, it is very narrow. And so once you intensify your campaign and you let the people stick to what they believe in terms of the party philosophy, then it means you can add up and win. But as it stands now, if they rerun the 19, which I believe is a compromised stance for both parties, I think that the NPP will be at a disadvantage.
So then that you do understand where the opposition is coming from, that this is not the time for us to go into rerunning polling stations in a constituency where we nearly lost, from winning by thousands to now fighting over 414 votes.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is their kind of spilled milk. You see, they will have to go by the constitutional provision. The EC will have to go by that which is stated in law in terms of the LI 126 or so. And that is the only means by which they can implement that which they can implement the problem that they themselves have created. And so the only way they can seek redress is either to go to court or just say that, look, even when they win to make it, is it 89 or so, it will still not change their fortune. But of course, once they win it, it means administratively, they stand a better chance at returning in 2028. And of course, the MP there and other administrative, mechanisms that will have been put in place will ensure that the party's coffers is also oiled from that particular angle. So whichever way you look at it, it is an advantage to either party, and it's a disadvantage to either party.
At the center of all this is the Electoral Commission. You have the opinion, you seem to agree and disagree at the same time with Johnson and Sid in Ketia. You think that this is a constitutional body, is independent, so the law must be followed and it should not be done capriciously. But I seem you do not disagree with the fact that this group of electoral commissioners, especially the top 3, need to go.
Yeah, coming from Mr. Seydou Nkatia, the chairman, whom I call general chairman, will make the thing appear partisan and political. Allow people like us who have always been calling for their head to do so that if a commission of inquiry, probably through the president in consultation with the Council of State, can set up that. But you see, once the chairman has spoken, you realize how the NPP has latched on that. So tomorrow, if these people are removed, and the NPP also win power some years to come, then they will also be going after the head of whoever will be the electoral commissioner or the body of commissioners. But you see, certain things will have to be done according to the constitutional provision. The former president removed, shall also say, based on procurement breaches. Meanwhile, the former president supervised blatant procurement breaches in the various sectors of the economy, of which he and the Tabamia presided over. But you see, he had a constitutional provision. No. So follow the law. That is a call by the chairman, which I agree, but coming from him is that which I disagree, because it gives it partisan currency. And that's not something that anybody wants, because it is an independent commission. And as I told you earlier on, the point is that you have seen how the NPP, element within the NPP, are now linking the Chief Justice's, what do we call that? Petition against her removal to that of the Electoral Commission. Even long before the chairman called for that, Mr. Afenyo-Markins and the like had already predicted that they know that from the Chief Justice, they are going to the Electoral Commission. That was a speculation. But for it to come from the chairman of that repute, Mr. Sedun Katia, of that high repute, it will what? Fuel the partisanship. That is where I disagree with him. You understand? But other than that, some of us, you see, I have said, one day I was having my bath and I was thinking about the issue. I said that, look, conducting an election in which it does not degenerate into war, it doesn't mean that there is the presence of peace. It doesn't mean that your democracy is stable. No. There are inherent inefficiencies and incompetencies displayed by the current Electoral Commission. If you not even vote for the NDC, for which manipulation and maneuvering, had become interminably difficult, I'm very sure that we'll have seen more people dying than in 2020. The way and manner they delayed the collations was not by accident, because it was one too rampant at different places, at different constituencies in the country. It was one too rampant. So nobody should tell you and convince you that that was not an orchestration. It was an orchestration. And that's the more reason why some of us are calling for a body of inquiry to investigate procurement, to investigate the acquisition of biometric machines, to investigate that biometric devices that got lost, for which it became a banter between the chairman, Mr. Sedun Katia, the EC, and the NPP. Then suddenly you are telling us that after proposing 25, NDC proposing over 50, the NPP proposing over 30-something, now you've settled on 19. And with the 19, that means that these are areas where your what do they even call them? The electoral officers, the presiding officers, could not verify. If that is the case, you are now going to conduct a rerun of 19, polling stations, or whichever way you look at it. And so you should look at it as something bigger than what they have created. I have said time without number that, look, what they did was a grand scheme. This undue delay of collation was a grand scheme. It took the vigilance of the grassroots of the NDC to ensure that the right things, were done. And of course, it will appear to me that the security forces themselves were witnesses of a grand deception on the part of the EC. But because of the vigilance, they also had to look on to see to it that whoever was forceful and ready for the right thing to be done. It's just unfortunate that Ablekuma then became an outstanding. We have several of these cases, including Domiko Abenya, and even where Anodompre is. All these things were machinations that were put in place before the elections. And so it tells you that this crop of commissioners have been so incompetent from 2019 that I began criticizing, 2018 when I think Madam Salatose was taken off and they took over, newly constituted, they began making mistakes upon mistakes. So for me, if the current government does not set up an investigative committee, a commission of inquiry, to investigate the conduct of elections, whichever year they want to take it from, whether 2016, 2020, up to 2024. We need to investigate those who have died extrajudicially. We need to find out how the elections, for the 2020 became changed overnight, the following day, all the amendment that took place. It can only happen when people freely go out there to speak. If the president, who has executive power, is not able to do this, then it means that 2020 elections that he went to the Supreme Court through an electoral petition was something that was just something to throw dust in the eyes of the support base of the party. He should be able to do this. And it's not about the chairman making the pronouncement that this bill should go. That one, I don't agree with him on that score. In as much as some of us have said that they should leave because they are incompetent, it should be properly done through constitutional means.
Interesting points you make there, but I'll come to some of the points you make about what should happen to this crop of EC leaders. But first, now we have a rerun of 19 polling stations. The NPP is saying, as far as they are concerned, there are 3 outstanding polling station results that need to be collated, and that's what they will insist on. What do you make of that stance taken by the New Patriotic Party?
Well, the Electoral Commission is the arbiter, and they have already hinted at going to court because they feel that that is a number that should be done. But you see, in the early period, they were reliant on those things that the NPP single-handedly was pushing to the EC. But as long as these things were not authenticated by the other side, that is the NDC, it will be very difficult for the NDC to accept that. And I think late June, early July, what's it called? The IPAC meeting that they had held or so, they came to some kind of consensus, only for the NPP to come out to say something else. So if they think that they are not, ready for that one, I think that they can seek redress in the law court. Besides, they should bear in mind that that particular constituency, looking at the numbers of the NDC and that of independent MPs that have focused with the NDC, in actual fact, Ablekuma.
Say no, Obian say, ni candidate ni be even NPP no say, enya ade and that run a mobile corner no be shame. And that ballot plan moon trend like the team for nenka no metunko na mkoto mfamano. Because the iron run number quantity or no the size of go down quarter. But NDC election team never appointed me can say or moon names him before sponsor. Because say easy nanga say moon and anything. Process need air cost and as a process needs dear any bit mark injunction, bit mark petition near the other. But the process ne cost dear, ultimate conscience process need to go stop it. And Kesi to corner suspended one. Ke or no da one quarter dana because we nim law no. But in go for ya, the my almost a day. As o moon nim law no, and so D now some ya no mean omun delay a Ghanaian time. Because that day ne meeting 1st July no. And I come here and say that 19 police station nine Mompeno and can they change and come by them back court. Nebio na NPP election team na even ni makoda no. Our bad meeting na muni na mo agree say I'm Benyamba no mo be dem for 19 police station no. Say address ni akwa address NPP for the den say just if people go there and misunderstanding with even the makun ni wait my about bontin kikan sim hunu sabi chere easy Mensa. All these one amui shout as if you 2018 and 2019 mudi ECJ Mensa boss maten samotete na 3 easy chairperson be sia name no more adwuma in favor of you move for no Nemoniaji ni declare almost 6 times. Up to now, 2020 result. Ye ni ma ba for the winia or sadly is that be this be. Mama had was with him on farmer no. Assume Jenny Pananos with him on farmer no. Now so a quack question go free no or carry Jimo Munti, Jamope, and no more. Time na ni di mamude mama bontin koto de ne bodwe nyenya nche no mfa no di ene ni se ni pa kwana mo defend no o kan sema as o yan dia engu in favor of you people nti Mamba Pontin can't say senior IGB Dampari. Ikuni who inauguration in the free or senior CJ Tokono bre so finally unya David in a free one. But my name now say ye in free because even the chairman of NDC Amajuku I didn't get a Bontin ever can say AJ Mensa Samutete Boss Masai can say NDC Amajuku is a threat to democracy. No? Sango Vonina almost stay overdue. Into a country, President John Dramani Masoy, the Umuyo free on for friend and show. Now, so, Oma Babon Zinkase, or they are made in being a free office or intervene on yard at the papa. Say, beer 2045, so Mazaba Bem Bim Compo Bima. Near Faji Mensa Bim so man be easy. So, it you can't say near Maui and anything. In few of any in a bear, woman no man made or make us who stay in their bestie where they have a call. Because I find my against a kind of parliament say, after CJ talk on no removal, they are going straight, now they are heading straight to the removal of ECJ Mensa. And no bear more ball. Because we are sending CJ talk on why more ball. My name is CJ talk on. Eba be in a flow. President Kasa, do you be saying in any match near the other Ghanaians compare conscience? President's own in flow. O President Kasa no in your winning training. We see where him from. Near you everywhere beach now a Kasa who's easy Ghana by any other day. Ghanaians are not ready to listen to what you are saying. And those are the things a political analysts a babontin, scientists a babontin, Bichima. You wait in the adrenaline channel, the comments at Bitim so I sham down for Sonia Piache. Higher for Angie Akroma.